Hello, creative friends. I'm so happy to be back, or sort of. I haven't really been posting as many video tutorials as I would have liked to because I recently moved at least a couple of months ago now, and things have taken a lot longer than I expected. So I don't really have a studio set up. My paints are everywhere, and basically I had enough in the end of waiting to try to get things in order. So I took my old table outside on the little deck in the sunshine, as you can see, that's on the desk there. And I decided to just go for it. So the video quality may not be as good and the sound may be a little bit more echoey, but I'm doing my best with what I've got at the moment. So hopefully that's okay. So I haven't really been painting very much either. So I've decided that I really need to get back into it. And funnily enough, it just takes a little bit of will and a lot of motivation even for me, because if I stop painting for a while and I'm distracted by other things from my life, sometimes I have trouble to get back into it. So what do you do in this case? Well, I try to follow what I preach, and I basically just opened a couple of pages and started spreading paint around in random patches, as I quite often do. And as soon as you do that without too many expectations, then usually the juices start flowing, and well, the creative juices, obviously, hopefully nothing else, and things are happening a little bit. So I've put a few colors here and there, and I'm going to use a stencil to add a little bit of color. I've got very limited supplies available right now, so I'm just using my finger and spreading the paint. I'm not trying to do anything neat, or as you can tell, I just want little patchy blocks of texture here and there, and I'm reversing my stencil once I'm done with it, just to collect the extra paint on it and add extra texture on my pages. We just get anything we can get, right? So I'm using another stencil again and reusing that blue that I used in the background, just to add again a bit more texture. Applying the paint through a stencil this way is basically uses a little bit more paint than I would like, but it gives you a pretty cool effect. Not very neat effect, which is good. We're going for a slightly grungy version here. And it's also quite fun because you don't really need many supplies, really. So I'm just keep going, and as usual, you'll find the link in the description below the video if you're watching on YouTube, for the supplies I've used, and if you're on my website mimibondi.com watching this video, then the supplies are listed right below. So now I'm adding a little bit more paint, and as you can tell, I wasn't very patient. I just kept going even though the paint was still a bit wet, and that's good because I just want to sort of soften up the edges of those stenciled areas a little bit. So I'm just spreading the paint so it all sort of blends in together. I'm going for a slightly soft effect. But eventually you do need to let things dry. So I'm back now using one of my favorite flower stencils and just adding a bit more texture here and there. Not the whole design, just parts of it mostly. Again, just for interest and extra texture, but different thickness compared to the stenciled areas. And then I'm layering with a bit more paint and intensifying a little bit more in some areas. I just wanted some of the pink to show a bit more and a bit more purple, since I had some blue already in the background. And because I find it's a little bit dark, I'm just adding a tiny bit of white here and there just to lift those colors up a little bit. Nothing too fancy, again, just a few patches with my fingers. And then once I'm happy with that, I'm going to decide on one of my favorite stencils. I do use it everywhere, by Tim Holtz, and again applying the paint directly with my fingers just to get a few blobs of texture. And if you have my book or you follow my No Shenanigans e-course, you'll see that I use this stencil quite a bit as well, because it's just very versatile and it's great for adding a little bit of texture and interest here and there. So again, because I'm applying the paint with my finger, a little bit of it is seeping through under the stencil, so I'm just pressing it down here and there just to collect that extra paint, and as well extra interesting texture that I wouldn't get just by using the stencil on its own. And Obviously, it's a little bit cold. Well, you may not know, but I'm in Australia and it's kind of cold today. It's only 10 degrees this morning, so hot chocolate is a must. And I found this product in a cheap shop here, and it's a self-adhesive stencil. I've never seen this before, so I decided to give it a go. I don't find it that practical to apply it, and I don't know how long the adhesive is going to actually last, but it definitely gives you a very good seal when you're applying ink like I'm doing now, and that should ensure a very crisp detail. As you can see there, it looks great. I love those beautiful little feathers here, but I'm not so keen on the self-adhesive stencil as an idea as such. But, you know, what can you do? It was only a couple of dollars, so I thought it was worth trying, and I love those feathers, and that's the reason I bought them, really. I bought the stencil, I mean. So I'm just going for a little bit of foreground interest here, adding a few feathers here and there as if they are sort of floating around, and I will shortly attach them to the top of my page so they're not just sort of stuck there in the middle. And by the way, the hot chocolate is delicious. It's salted caramel flavor. How good is that? I love anything salted caramel. I don't know about you, but it's so yummy. So I'm going to be having a few more of these over the winter here in Australia. Alright, now I'm using just a thin black marker to add some sort of stems to my feathers. And because my background is very busy, I'm going to apply a little bit more paint around each of those feathers. Not just very discreet, nothing much really. You could almost not tell that it's there, but just to sort of blur what's behind the feathers a little bit so they don't get too lost in the background. But again, you know, I'm doing this as a very subtle effect. I don't want the colors to stand out too much either. And I've decided that I'm not going to add a quote or anything like that. I'm happy how things are going so far, and the simplicity of it, really. I think there's enough going on. You don't always need to add words in your journal. It's great if you feel inspired and something's quite meaningful to you, but today I'm just trying to enjoy, not putting any pressure on myself. I just want to play and just really get back into it. And if you see some weird black strings on the desk hanging around my sleeves, don't worry, they're not dangerous or anything. It's not one of those weird insects that we have in Australia. It's actually just this funny woolly poncho I'm wearing. It's not very sexy, but it's warm, so I don't care. Now I'm using a gold marker pen to add little dots, again for interest and to define the feathers a little bit without overpowering my pages. And once I've gone around all of those feathers, I think I'm going to go around the page as well. Yes, I'm creating a little border of dots just all the way around. This is a very simple technique that I love to use because it just adds something funky that's not distracting from the rest of the page. And because it's gold, then it'll give me a little bit of shine as well, so why not? Made a bit of a boo-boo there. I put my arm into it, as you do. And that's pretty much finished, guys. I'm going to give you a close look now. As you can see, there's quite a bit of texture and some vibrant colors, so you know, lots of things to look at, even though it was quite quick. I feel like everything's sort of contrasting and blending with each other quite well, and those little gold dots are still wet, so they're a little bit darker than they will look when they actually dry. But they provide a bit more interest, and I love how all those little, that extra texture from the back of the stencils has appeared here. I really like how it's turned out. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Cheers to you guys, and keep warm. And if you're interested in learning a little bit more with me, don't forget that I have a book and a mixed media course called No Shenanigans. You can find it on my website, mimibondi.com, and you can also buy the book on Amazon if you prefer. Thanks guys, and I'll see you very, very soon for another video. Make sure to subscribe to my newsletter to not miss anything. Bye!